Welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick. In today's video, I'll be sharing my favorite 10 stock setups for the week by breaking down their fundamentals, group strength, fund ownership, and technical setups. Last week, the market saw a strong sell-off on Monday morning in both the leading stocks and the major indexes. Thankfully, we had a strong close to Monday's trading and pushed higher the rest of the week. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ are now both above their 50-day simple moving averages, and the leading stocks are continuing to act well. So here are the 10 stocks that we'll be covering today. If I share a setup that fits your criteria, please help me out by smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel for more trading content. Let's get into the charts, starting now. First, we'll start with AMD. It's got a very strong earnings per share rating, 99 there. Group strength rating, A+. It's the fourth strongest group out of 197. And within that group, it is the #1 composite rated stock out of 29. So strong group, strong stock within that group. That increases our probability for the trade. Accumulation distribution is on the lower end with a B, but it has a composite rating of 99. Looking at fund ownership for AMD, it has been increasing up until this last quarter in June of 2021. It went from 2718 down to 2643. Obviously, we'd like to see fund ownership increasing along the way each quarter, so this is one yellow flag for the setup. On a fundamental standpoint, it has extremely strong earnings per share growth, sales growth, and after-tax margin growth. We had earnings per share grow 128, 63, 189, 250. Sales grow 56, 53, 93, 99. And after-tax profit margin growing 18, 19, 19, and 20. So obviously very strong there. Now getting into the chart, AMD had a earnings pop, about 45% from the pullback here. Since then, it pulled back initially 15% and then undercut that low with a pullback of 17%. It continued to flag out. A lot of people traded this. I traded this within a couple times, managing my risk. Got stopped out both times around even. Since then, we did have this flush under the 50-day simple moving average when everything was pulling back Monday morning. But since then, we had continuation higher. We're back above the 50-day. We did get some resistance right on this green line, which is the 20-day simple moving average. And then we had an inside day on Friday. So after this major shakeout last Monday, I'm looking for a break over the 20-day moving average, a break over Thursday's high as a possible entry point of 106.86 for AMD. Next, we have APP, and this is an IPO, so there's not as much information on it as AMD. Group strength is an A+, it's 8 out of 197, and within that group, it's only about midway, 20 out of 47 stocks there, so a slight yellow flag on that. Accumulation distribution is very strong with an A- and a composite rating only of 66 with a relative strength rating of 61. So that's on the low end, but as you can see, it's kind of building out the right side of the base here. Earnings per share was up 167% year over year last quarter. Sales up 123% and after-tax margin up 2.2%. Fund ownership, we only have 1 quarter to work with and 113 funds there. So diving in the chart now for APP, we did have this strong pullback of 35% and then a second pullback under that low of 40%. So I like to see that shakeout in the base under the previous low. We got going, volume kind of switched. Instead of high volume down days, it went high volume up days. And that pattern continued as it kind of shook everyone out through this angle. And now what I'm looking for is a break over this area. We kind of got over it on Friday, then pulled back slightly. So either a break over Thursday's high, 79.89, call it $80 flat as a possible entry point, or a break over Friday's high, 80.75, whichever way you can manage risk there with APP. Next, we have a stock, DLO, which has been on many previous breakout watch lists. This has continued to frustrate swing traders, but it does look like it's setting up now to break out. So group strength on this one, A-. It's 45 out of 197, and it is the strongest composite rated stock out of 38 there. So #1 out of 38. Has a very strong relative strength rating of 96. Good good accumulation distribution rating of B+, and a very strong composite rating of 98. As you can see down here in the earnings per share, we went +50, +300, +500, +100 the last 4 quarters. Sales were up 96, 94, 124, 186, obviously very strong. And after-tax profit margin up 28, 33, 42, and 30. Fund ownership, we only have 1 quarter to work with, and we have 175 funds in the stock. For DLO, another IPO, you can see a very strong move up. We consolidated in this base, a breakout on earnings, and now we're going through that second consolidation here. What I like about this is it's been very frustrating to swing trade. So we had a low put in, and then that gets taken out. Then that low gets taken out on Monday with a very strong lower wick here where we flushed, buyers stepped in, and then you can see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday all pushed higher. We had higher highs, higher lows almost all of those days, and with very strong volume on Thursday's breakout. So it looks like the tide is turning on this one. Basically an inside day on Friday. We took out the high from Thursday, but not by much. So what I would be looking for is a break for Friday's high, 67.88 as a possible buy point. And then putting your stop below the low of that day would be 5.5%. So a little bit wider of a stop. Maybe you can find a range in there to get a 2% stop on half of the position, just so you can keep your risk in check. DLO. Next we have ETSY, ETSY. It's got a group strength of B. It's 73 out of 197, but it is the second strongest stock out of 54 stocks in that group. Accumulation distribution rating, B- on the lower end, but a very strong composite rating of 91. And you can see their relative strength rating is 86. Typically, I'm looking for stocks in 90 or above, but because this is working on the right side of the base, kind of like a Tesla, it will have a lower relative strength rating. Fund ownership has been increasing on this from 780 last June to 1720, so over 100% increase in fund ownership year over year. Last earnings, we did go down, earnings per share -9, but sales were up 23% and after-tax profit margin were up 19%. The previous 3 quarters before that were all very strong, plus 483, plus 332, plus 900 on earnings per share, and sales were up over 100% year over year each of the last 3 quarters as well. So with ETSY, I said that we were climbing the right side of the base right now. So one thing that I like to do is measure from high to low in the base just to make sure it's not over 50%. So with this, we have 39%. One thing that you have to be careful of is if the base is too deep, there's a lot of people trapped at these higher prices where when the stock does bounce from the low of the base up until that area, a lot of people are going to be either A, trying to get out for break even when they got in at this range so they don't have to psychologically call it a losing trade. They'll wait for a break even exit. And anyone who got in on the base is now up 37% or so and probably taking some profits. So when the base is over 50%, I would like to kind of avoid those setups. 39%, not a problem here. And we're already kind of spent some time through this area. You can see one pullback here, a second pullback. So you got those sellers out of the way, it looks like. Now we have a couple long lower wicks along that 20-day simple moving average. So buyers are stepping in right around that area. With this, I'll be looking for a break over Thursday's high, 225.47 as a possible buy point. One thing that I wanted to point out is also on the right side of the base, we are getting higher volume on up days versus down days, which is constructive. This is ETSY. Next, we have the biotech ISEE, and there's not too many fundamentals that go with this, so this is very much a technical setup. But group strength, A-, 35 out of 197 in the biotech group, and within that group, it's 30th out of 748 stocks, so very high composite rating in that group. It's got an A+ accumulation distribution rating and a 99 relative strength rating. So that's really what I'm seeing with this. As you can see with this chart, we had a high volume move up about 72% in July, and then we based out, and then finally got that nice pop with massive volume. Let's measure this. I believe it will be a high type flag. So we were up 104% from the low, and then we've only pulled back 7%, only 7% after a 100% move. So that does qualify for the high type flag. Those are moves of 90% or more in 8 weeks or less, and then pulls back within 25% from the high. So with this, you could manage risk a couple different ways. Because the 8-day exponential moving average is still haven't caught up to the price, what I'll be waiting for is a break just into this new high. You see these long upper wicks showing that sellers are stepping in right at that $17 area. So a break into new highs of $17.10, that could be a possible buy point. Or if we trade sideways the rest of the week, or even pull down to the 8-day exponential moving average, we might have a lower entry point later on in the week. But until that happens, and we could check in on a live stream on Tuesday, maybe I put this on the watch list then. Until that happens, just a break into 17.10, a new high would be my buy point for ISEE. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. As much work as I put in scanning for the best setups, it's possible that I missed a few along the way. So please help me out by commenting below your favorite setups going into the week that I didn't mention in this video. Thanks for your help, and let's get back to the charts. Next, we have MDB, group strength A+. It's 15 out of 197. It's in that computer software group. And within that group, it's the 10th strongest out of 26 on a composite rating, but on a relative strength rating, it's 4th out of 26. It does have a relative strength rating of 95, which is obviously very strong. Accumulation distribution on the lower end with a B and a composite rating 77. So what I'm really looking at here is we gapped up with earnings, we're consolidating, and now can we break to the upside? Checking fund ownership, it has been increasing pretty rapidly, went from 777 in June of 2020 to 1069 this year. So I talked about that gap up. So on earnings, we moved up 31%. Since then, we've just consolidated around that 8-day exponential moving average. I have taken a couple trades into here and getting stopped for even, which is fine. That's how you manage risk. Lately, we had kind of a 1-day pullback on Friday, which bounced at the 8-day exponential moving average. So buyers are stepping in right around that area. Maybe the 10-day works better. I just have the 8-day on my chart. There's not too much difference. What I would be looking for here is just a break into new highs, going over Thursday's high of 518.34 as a possible buy point. MDB. Next, we have a true market leader in SEC Limited. This stock has a group strength rating of A+, 10 out of 197 in that internet content group. Within that group, it's the 15th strongest composite rated out of 70 and the 7th strongest relative strength rating out of 70. Has a relative strength rating of 94, an accumulation distribution on the lower end just because we had kind of a sell-off after earnings of a C+, and a composite rating of 77, just because it doesn't have the earnings right now. Earnings are negative, but sales are growing over 100% each year, which is very strong. Fund ownership also has been exploding higher, went from 643 last June to 1671 this June. So obviously massive funds pouring into this stock. Zooming out on SC's chart, you can see just how clean this uptrend has been. We have the 200-day, the 50, the 20, the 8, all in the correct order. We did have a recent pullback here. Let's see, I think it was about 12%. Yeah, 12% pullback. And now we're just flagging out nicely. Buyers are stepping in along the 20-day simple moving average. What I would be looking for is a break over Friday's high, 344.64 as a possible buy point. Just going through, we have a downtrend line that was broken on Thursday. We pulled back and we had buyers supporting at the 8-day and the 20-day right there. So move back into the local high, 344.64 would be my buy point for SE. The last 3 stocks all start with Z. This one is ZI. It has a group strength rating of A+. It's in that computer software group, which is ranked 13th out of 197 right now. Within that group, it's the 2nd strongest stock out of 108. It's got a relative strength rating of 91, an accumulation distribution of A-, and a composite rating of 98. The last 4 quarters have incredible earnings per share, sales, and after-tax margin. Let's go earnings per share first. 120, 140, 160, 100. Incredible. Sales 56, 53, 50, 57, and after-tax profit margin of 35, 35, 33, and 32. Fund ownership on this has been increasing, went from 191 to 334 over the last 4 quarters. This is another one that moved higher on earnings, pulled back, consolidated, and it is now continued in that uptrend. Similar to SE, buyers are supporting this along the 20-day simple moving average line. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different times. On Friday, we pulled back, bounced right on that point, and moved up again. So this is one where if we pull back to that 20-day moving average and we can find a tight, maybe like 30-minute, hour area where we can manage risk against that 20-day moving average, then we can get a lower risk in that area. Otherwise, I would just be looking for a break over Wednesday's high of 69.16 as a possible buy point in this local high here. Next, we have one of my favorites, ZIM. It's in that transportation and shipping, which is the 5th strongest group out of 197. So it does have that A+ group strength rating. Within that group, it's the strongest stock out of 27. So checking all the boxes there. Accumulation distribution, A-, composite rating, 99. Relative strength rating, 99. Incredible earnings per share growth, over 1,000% the last 4 quarters. Sales up 20, 64, 112, 200%. So we get acceleration in sales. And then after-tax profit margin also increasing, 14, 27, 33, 37, acceleration with after-tax profit margin. Incredible fundamentals right here. So with ZIM, after a 85% move off the low and the base, we did have a kind of pullback, 13%, and then shook out even more on Wednesday, down 17% from the highs. Since then, we turned around with big volume, pushing out, let's see, Thursday was a plus 7% day. And then now we consolidated again, inside day on Friday, closing near the low. So this might need a couple of days to trade sideways, really flag out, allow that 20-day simple moving average to catch up, and then we'll get a lower entry point. If we don't get that and we just turn around and take out the high from Friday, that would be my entry point of 58.87, just because we closed at the low, and if we're pushing all the way up to the high, that's showing that buyers are stepping in along each of these price points. But if we can get a couple days flagging out, that only improves the setup for ZIM. And last but not least, we have ZS. It's also in that computer software security group. A+ group strength, 7 out of 197. Within that group of 40 stocks, it is the 5th strongest on a composite rating and 5th strongest on a relative strength rating. Has a relative strength rating of 93, a accumulation distribution of B-, and an overall composite rating of 94. Earnings per share was up 250%, plus 0, plus 114, and plus 75 the last 4 quarters. Sales up 52, 55, 60, 57, and after-tax profit margin up about 10% the last 4 quarters. Fund ownership has been increasing on this one as well, went from 569 in June of 2020 all the way up to 1098 this June. Zooming out on ZS, we see a very strong uptrend. We have the 200, 50, 28 all in the right order. This did have a kind of earnings sell-off where we pulled back, let's see, only 11% from the high. So that looks bad, but it's just because it's been going up so consistently that these red bars are a little bit of a warning flag there. But since then, buyers are stepping in right around the 20-day simple moving average. On Friday, we had a undercut of the 20 of the 8-day, and then we rallied into the close to close back above both of those areas. What I would be looking for is a break over Thursday's high, 281.90 as a possible buy point for ZS. All right, that's gonna be the breakout watch list for the upcoming week. If you enjoyed the video, smash the like button and subscribe to my channel where I make these watch list videos every Sunday, go live on Tuesday night to break down any stocks that you want me to look at, and make other personal finance themed videos. Have a great week, and I'll see you Tuesday.